Okay, this is diagramming 101. What I'm going to do here is just kind of remind you of what was in the soft chalk lecture, but hopefully this will be more precise for you and you can follow it a little bit better. So here we go. Arguments with indicators. Many arguments will contain conclusion and premises indicators, and then identifying them should prove to be no real problem. Once you've identified the conclusion, then by process of elimination, the other statements will be the premises. Conclusion indicators. Take a look at the next one. Tortured prisoners will say just about anything to relieve the pain. Will say anything just to relieve the pain. Consequently, torture is not a reliable method of interrogation. Remember here we have consequently. So consequently lets us know that whatever follows right here, that's going to be our conclusion. Torture, and I don't have to say consequently for my conclusion, I just say torture is not a reliable method of interrogation. What is claimed to follow from the evidence. So notice when I go back here, I say why, tortured prisoners say anything. What comes after that? This is what my evidence, is for torture is not a reliable method of interrogation. How do I know that? My evidence, tortured prisoners will say anything just to relieve the pain. So this is the necessary question. What is claimed to follow from the evidence? And this is the necessary question to find the conclusion. Given that we know from our list of conclusion indicators, we see consequently as our conclusion, so I know torture is not a reliable method, and from that I can see the tortured prisoners will say anything just to relieve the pain. Remember, in an argument, I can only have one conclusion. If an argument does not contain a conclusion indicator, it may contain a premises indicator. And any statement that follows a premises indicator can be identified as a premises. So, here we go. Expectant mothers should never use recreational drugs since the use of these drugs can jeopardize the development of the fetus. The first thing I want to do is get in here, start looking for indicators. If I don't see a conclusion indicator, the next best thing, since. And I know that this now is my evidence for this claim. So we have the opposite. The premise of the argument is, notice, the use of these drugs can jeopardize the development of the fetus, and the conclusion is expectant mothers should never use recreational drugs. Why? Because the use of these drugs can jeopardize the development of the fetus. I want you to notice how everything is logically complete. Everything is following something else. What evidence supports a claim? This is a necessary question to find the conclusion. If I have arguments with no indicators, that's going to be tougher. So what I'm going to have to do is ask myself some questions. What single statement is claimed implicitly to follow from the others? What is the arguer trying to prove? And what is the main point in the passage? And this is something that you're going to have to keep track of. So with that in mind, what we're going to do is we're going to move on down and try number one that was in your soft chalk. And this is where you, remember, are going to find the answers, but I just wanted to go over something very quickly. Okay, so here I notice that I have everything is numbered for you. Isn't that nice? Nice and pretty. So government mandates for zero emissions vehicles won't work because 2, only electric cars qualify as zero emission vehicles, and electric cars won't sell. They are too expensive, their range is limited, and recharging facilities are not generally reliable. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get in here and see if I have any indicators, because remember, they told me there was really no problem once I find them. So with my list of conclusion and premises indicators, I'm going to look here, and gosh golly gee whiz, if that's not because, and that's a premises indicator, so I should really pay attention to that, and I should move on down here, and I should write number 1. And I know, since it's my conclusion, I know it's going to be at the bottom. Okay? Number 1, government mandates for zero emissions vehicles won't work. That's the claim, right? And I know here this is my premises, and everything else here seems to follow along with that. And it may not be the case that it's going to be first, but in this case it is. So I have number 1. And then I want to look and see what are my reasons. only electric cars qualify as zero emissions vehicles, and electric cars won't sell. Those seem to be pretty good ones, so I'm going to put those down. But I noticed something: electric cars won't sell. They are too expensive, their range of operation is limited, and recharging facilities are not generally available. It seems to me that those, number 4, 5, and 6, are going to tell me why electric cars won't sell. And so it looks like these two are going to support number 1 together. They support this. But number 3 also has some backup in and of itself. And so it looks like those 3 I'm going to put here. Number 4 is going to go here. Number 5, stop that. We'll go here, and number 6 will go there. And so that's what I want to keep in mind. I want to work in this way. I want to keep thinking of this and this support this, but these things all seem to support this. So notice this is actually an intermediate conclusion, but it's also a premise to support number 1. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to let that one sink in, and then you can take a look at the next one. And I'll do each one bit by bit so that you get a chance to work them without me going through them.